Where is Jesus Christ's tomb? Where is the exact location of his tomb? Well, we know that it was found in about 325 AD, only about 300 years after his crucifixion. But archaeology and the Bible point to the exact location, and this is what an expert and theologian explains to us where he believes it is. Now, the exact location of Christ's tomb has been disputed for centuries by archaeologists and theologians, especially recently, someone saying that they found a garden tomb. Now, two sites in the city of Jerusalem claim to be the site of Christ's burial, but only one of them is most definitely the real one. A scripture expert and theologian astonishingly claims. This is by Sebastian Ketley on Express UK. Easter, as we know, is the most important holiday for the Christian calendar. The holiday rapidly approaching. Millions of Christians worldwide will take the moment to reflect upon Christ's suffering and their faith. And according to the Holy Bible, the New Testament, Christ was nailed to the cross at the place of his passion, the place called Golgotha. It's just outside of the ancient Jerusalem walls. And after his agonizing death upon the Roman contraption, Christ's remains were taken down and then put in the tomb, in a nearby tomb that was never used before. Kindly support my Patreon account since YouTube has again demonetized my YouTube channel. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below. The tomb belonged to Joseph of Arimathea, who was a high priest and also rich. He had his own shipping company, bringing trade to even up to the British Isles back and forth. And from the life of saints of the Christian Orthodox Synaxary of Saints, he is believed to have been an uncle of Jesus Christ. And as we know, the Hebrew law says that those who could afford had to take care of their poor relatives when they were to be put in the cemetery, in their tombs. So Christ's remains were taken down and interred at the nearby tomb. The passage of Mark 15 reads, "So Joseph bought some linen cloth, took down the body, wrapped it in linen, and placed it in a tomb cut out of rock. Then he rolled a stone against the entrance of the tomb. Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Joseph, saw where he was laid." Many people believe this tomb still exists, although its exact location has not been agreed upon. For the most part, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in the Christian quarter of the old city of Jerusalem in Israel is believed to have been built upon the site of Christ's crucifixion and burial. And this is a very stretched out church, so it takes out, it brings in all of the areas that have to do with his passion. But there's another site known as the Garden Tomb, which many in the Protestant world believe could be the true site of Christ's burial and resurrection. According to Tom Mayer, professor of Bible studies at Shasta Bible College and Graduate School in California, there is overwhelming evidence, archaeologically and biblically, to settle the score once and for all. He said the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, built in 326 AD and located in the Christian quarter of the Old City, encapsulates the tomb long believed to belong to Christ. The Garden Tomb, located just outside of the Old City of Jerusalem, has also been venerated as a possible location of the empty tomb of Jesus. In fact, almost 500,000 pilgrims visit that one every year. But a reevaluation of the facts in accordance with Scripture prove that it is impossible that Jesus was buried in that garden tomb that Protestants believe could be his tomb. And these are the reasons why, according to the Bible and archaeology. After attempting to cut a cistern into the bedrock, the farmer was surprised to stumble upon a tomb, and just 7 years later, the site was described by Conrad Schick as, of course, who was a correspondent for the Palestine Exploration Fund. He described seeing a tomb half full with dirt and human bones. Then in 1883, the tomb was suggested to be the tomb of Christ by General Charles George Gordon, who was a British Army officer who fought in the Crimean War. Professor Meyer said, upon his arrival in Jerusalem, Gordon, without any legitimate evidence, identified the hill which the garden tomb is located within as Golgotha, which means place of the skull, Matthew 27:33. But with an increased scrutiny on the bombastic claims that the garden tomb and not the Church of Holy Sepulchre is the empty tomb of Christ, the claim of Gordon falls apart. Upon a re-examination of the garden tomb in 1974 by Israeli archaeologist Gabriel Barkay, it has been determined that this tomb, the garden tomb that many Protestants believe is the true tomb of Jesus, contains none of the archaeological hallmarks of a tomb from the time of Jesus. From the flat ceiling of the tomb, to the layout of the tomb and chambers itself, to the marks left by the tool inside used to chisel out the burial benches, to a closer look at the objects discovered in a small-scale dig in front of the tomb itself in 1904, every piece of evidence indicates the tomb was first used 700 to 800 years before the death of Jesus Christ. So it was much older. This is a key piece of evidence, according to Professor Meyer, because the Bible states Christ was buried in a tomb that has not been used before. The garden tomb also bears striking similarities to tombs in the nearby St. Stephen's Catholic Church, would have been dated to the Iron Age, that is 1000 BC to 586 BC. Professor Meyer said the garden tomb was likely part of a tomb complex that stretches over into the current property owned by the Catholic Church. Not a single tomb from the time of Jesus has ever been found in the vicinity of the garden tomb. It is also significant that the inscriptions in the garden tomb, an abbreviation of the name Jesus Christ in the Greek letters Alpha and Omega, a nickname name for Jesus, dates to 500 years after the resurrection of Jesus in the Byzantine period. So according to Meyer, no earlier Christian symbols have been found inside the tomb. Professor Meyer says, on the basis of the authority of Scripture and in conjunction with the data brought to light by re-examination of the history of the tomb, it is not possible that the garden tomb is the empty tomb of Christ. All the evidence points to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre as being the tomb in which Jesus rose from the dead. Now let's also remember that every Saturday that there's the Christian Orthodox Saturday, because we know that even in this example this year, the Catholic Protestant Easters fall about a month before the Christian Orthodox Easter, even though we are told by Jesus Christ himself that what he explained to his disciples and apostles, that the Christian Easter, the Passover, must always, the resurrection of Jesus Christ must always be celebrated the first Sunday after the Jewish Passover. And many times, though, we have the Catholic Protestant churches celebrating Easter before the Jewish Passover. That's not to be done. Now, the Christian Orthodox Holy Sepulchre site has also every Saturday morning at noon, the Saturday just before the Sunday of Resurrection, has the holy light emitting from the tomb of Jesus Christ. There were scientists in 2004 that went to measure and see what this light was, because this light was burning, yet it was not consuming. It was a burning light coming out of the candles, the candles lit at the top of the flame. That light does not burn for 1 or 2 minutes. It's the same temperature as our body, and it does not burn either. And about a minute or two later, it starts becoming a real flame. And they found that this was actually plasma that is not supposed to be found on Earth. It's only found in the universe. It's called cold plasma. And that's the unreal, unexplained phenomenon that takes place over 2,000 years now from the tomb of Jesus Christ here at the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. God bless you, and thank you for your support. I hope you found this interesting. Thank you.